So if you started to treat yourself the way that you treat other people, I promise you, you'd begin to feel a little bit more love in your own heart. Today, I want to start this podcast out with a quote. And the quote says, to solely attempt to love others without first loving yourself is to build a home without a strong foundation. What is up, my dear friends, and welcome back to another episode of Honey, I'm Home. Today, we're going to be talking about the 3 things that make life hard. And this is going to help you in your personal journey back toward loving yourself at a deeper level and help you understand what are the 3 things that are stopping you from being able to enjoy life today. And oftentimes these 3 things are the very things and obstacles that hinder your happiness, hinder your ability to grow into the person that you want to be, and oftentimes stops you from being able to move on with your life and maybe create something of yourself. But before we dive into that topic today, my dear friend, I first off want to say thank you so much for being here and tuning into this episode on Honey, I'm Home. I do not take your attention. I do not take your time for granted or lightly. And I just want to say thank you for being here with me today as we explore the 3 things or obstacles that make life hard. And it is my goal today in this quick message to you that we can make life a little bit easier by understanding what's making life so difficult, and then maybe give you some actionable steps that you can begin to take that can help you to create a sense of happiness and ease and peace into your own life. And my dear friend, if you're struggling to overcome a heartbreak, a breakup, separation, or divorce, you know it by now. If you're a long-term listener, I have a free masterclass training that's been helping thousands of individuals learn the exact steps that they need to take in order to move on from their heartbreak. You know, heartbreak is one of the most challenging obstacles that we can face as humans. Heartbreak can consist of losing a loved one through a death of a loved one. It could be you're grieving someone who left you. Maybe you left them because you thought, you know, there might be someone out there that's better. No matter what type of heartbreak you're experiencing, of a friend, of a career, of a passion, a purpose, you know, it is challenging for us to create a breakthrough from that because we're not always sure of the steps that we need to take in order to create that breakthrough. So if you're feeling stuck, if you're feeling alone, if you're feeling helpless, lost, confused, directionless, then this masterclass is for you. It's designed to help you to begin to move on so you can go from a breakdown to a breakthrough and help you to get to begin to move on and reclaim your life and finally find a sense of happiness. And you can find that specific masterclass in the link in the show notes below. But now on to today's episode, where we're going to be discussing the 3 things that make life so dang hard. Welcome back, my friends, to another episode of Honey, I'm Home. Today, we're going to do a solo episode on what makes life so dang difficult. You know, a lot of you come here and tune in to these episodes to help elevate, to help reignite, to help bring joy, to help bring clarity on what you should do next when you're facing a difficult time in your life. Well, if I know one thing about this community, it's that we all struggle. If I know one thing about the human race, it's that we all struggle, that we seem to make life hard. And I don't know why that is, but we're pretty dang good at making life hard. And we're not very good at making life peaceful and happy. I think there's a plethora of reasons on why we cannot find a sense of happiness in life. You know, whether it's we judge ourselves too much, we judge other people, maybe we have this critical inner critic that defeats everything that we do. Maybe we just don't allow ourselves to really digest our goodness. Maybe we don't spend enough time alone in learning about who we are as individuals. Maybe, you know, we're not where we want to be, and we hold all of these expectations. We hold these expectations that make us believe that we should be further. Maybe we should have something that we currently don't have. Maybe we should still be married. Maybe we should still be with that person. Maybe life should be this way. A lot of our suffering comes from within. Actually, I would say every part of our suffering is suffering that's from within. There's a book by Mark Victor Frankl, and I think it's, what is it called again? Mark Victor Frankl. He wrote, he's a Holocaust survivor, a powerful book. I just forget the title, but remember the author. But he basically concludes that suffering is the very thing that only happens within, and happiness is the very thing that happens within. And the one thing that the Germans could not take away from Mark Viktor Frankl was his purpose, was his vision, was his dream to get out of there. And he had a strong enough vision that got him through today's chaos that he experienced through that terrible time in human history. And it's like, if he stated that during the most difficult time in human history as being a prisoner in one of the camps during the Holocaust, and he came out on the other side and didn't pass away, he didn't die or anything like that. He stated that it's the story that he created within, the vision that he created within, the purpose that he created within, and he stayed focused on that, and that's what got him out of there and didn't give himself the unwillingness to live emotion. Think about that. Now, I doubt that your circumstances and situations are as bad as the Holocaust. I sure hope so. But yet we still seem to suffer. There you are sitting in your nice home. There you are sitting in your car. There you are sitting, with a job. There you are sitting with your friends or family around. It's just a matter of not, do you want to connect with them? Do you want to, build a relationship with them? Do you want to connect to the earth? Do you want to connect to your body? Do you want to connect to your mind? Do you want to build that strong connection? And oftentimes the reasons why we suffer, my friends, is the first big thing that makes our lives very difficult is our inability to be loving toward ourselves. Think about that. Like, our inability to be loving toward ourselves is the very thing that stops us from being able to accept ourselves. Actually, I think maybe perhaps even we must first accept ourselves in order to love ourselves. So what does that really look like to you? If you think about how you are loving towards someone else, you got to understand, do you give that same love that you give to them to yourself? Because most of the time, the form of love that you give to someone is the exact same form that you in your heart desires the most. There's a book called The 5 Love Languages that states that, we have these 5 love languages, and in order to give someone their deep, passionate love that they crave, you must fulfill by giving them their love language. And with that being said, most of the time we still get that wrong. Even though we're clear on the love language in and of itself, what we oftentimes do is give our partner our love language and expect them to receive that same love because you are loving them the way that you want them to love you. So when we stop loving ourselves, life becomes hard. Pretty simple, right? But what I'm going to challenge you to do is, how did you love your last partner you were with? How'd you love your last spouse? How'd you love your last, relationship with someone that you felt like you fell in love with? How did you show up for them? How did you speak to them? How did you interact with them? Did you just keep yourself distracted? Did you try to connect with them? Did you try to ask them questions? How did you show up and love them? Because I promise you, if you start to reverse that and love you the way that you loved them, you would start to make your life a little bit more easy. Now, that's easier said than done because we understand that there's a way for people to feel loved. But what's more important is, how do you feel loved? How do you receive love? Not loving yourself can put yourself in a very dark place. It's oftentimes what causes this emotional and physical separation to take place within. It's where we seem to suffer the most. It's like, I hate myself. I don't want to be with myself. I don't love myself. I find myself always in these dark thoughts. It's because you're not sharing, your positive thoughts. You wouldn't share these dark thoughts and place them over someone else's heart and mind. So why do you give that same disrespect to yourself? If you started to treat yourself the way that you treated others, you would begin to love yourself a little bit deeper and life would become a little bit easier. So don't overlook this little practice. It's a little one because you have to do it daily, which makes it difficult. So if you started to treat yourself the way that you treat other people, I promise you would begin to feel a little bit more love in your own heart. The second thing that makes life really difficult is our refusing to grow. When we refuse to grow, in other words, when we refuse to change, we oftentimes cause ourselves to stay stuck. Stuck in a mindset, stuck in a financial, place, stuck in a relational place. We just feel stuck. And growing is hard. Growing is not easy. It takes intentional work. I try to grow in 4 areas of my life on a daily basis: my mind, my heart, my spirit, and my body. I try to grow my internal empires on a daily basis. And you've got to stop refusing yourself growth. How do you know if you're refusing yourself growth? Well, most of the time, it often shows up with resistance. So anything you're resistant of, it means you're not willing to grow. Oftentimes, depending on, we all have had parents, right? So your parents oftentimes refuse new technology. They oftentimes refuse new updates. They oftentimes refuse new transactions. If you guys remember the credit cards that transferred into the chip, remember the chip into the credit card where we had to insert our chip rather than swipe the credit card? That was a huge deal. If you remember your parents complaining about that. I remember my parents always complaining about this stupid chip thing. It's because their inability to grow. They don't want to change. They don't want to evolve. They don't want to move on from the way things used to be. And when you're unable to move on from the way things used to be, you're oftentimes going to stay stuck in the past, which is going to bring a massive amount of sadness, loneliness, frustration, and negative thoughts. Being unable to move on from the past is what's going to keep you from being able to move on into the future. So you've got to start to do something that makes you feel uncomfortable and stop resisting everything. Stop trying to resist, someone's personal beliefs, their thoughts, their opinions. Be more open to having good conversation. Be more open in getting rejected. Be more open with technology. Be more open in reading a different book than you're used to. Be more open to pushing yourself physically, mentally, emotionally, verbally, right? Meaning that you speak to yourself with more kindness. It wraps into the make sure you learn to love yourself kind of idea. So refusing to let yourself grow is keeping yourself stuck in the past, which is what is causing a lot of unhappiness. So I challenge you to, once again, grow your mindset, heart set, health set, and soul set. Do something every single day that allows you to be able to really push yourself mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually. Maybe you're used to meditating spiritually for 10 minutes. Maybe go 30 minutes. Maybe you're used to reading a good scripture, good book for 5 minutes. Go 30 minutes. Maybe you haven't worked out in a while. Do an hour workout. Go for a 30-minute walk and then an hour workout. What you need to start doing is starting to push your mind, body, soul, and emotional state to enhance your ability to grow and grow quickly. Because the secret to your happiness is your ability to grow. That's what's stopping you from being able to live a easier and more peace-filled, happy-filled life. And the third thing that makes life very difficult is your inability to let go. You're refusing to let go of the past, the present. You're refusing to forgive and let go. You're refusing to let go of the pain and emotions that are making you feel miserable because you'd rather be right than happy. You're refusing to let go of stories and beliefs that are keeping you trapped in negative thoughts and beliefs. You're not allowing yourself to let go of your expectations. You're not allowing yourself to let go of the stress, of the overwhelm, of the thoughts, of the memories. And most people, when you allow yourself to let go, you'll feel more freedom. You'll feel more peaceful. You'll feel more empty in a weightless feeling style of way. You'd feel lighter. You feel lighter. And how great is that? We could all lose a little poundage here and there, right? I know I'm trying to, but it's like having your ability to feel a little bit lighter is going to help you to elevate and transform your life. And you know what? You're probably struggling to let go. You're like, I don't know how to let go. Well, I get it. Letting go is hard. You have to learn to release your emotions. And in my course, Happiness After Heartbreak, you can learn how to let go. The process that I've used and hundreds of others have used themselves to learn how to let go and process the emotional pain that they no longer want to hold on to. You know, these are the three big ideas that are oftentimes, and the three main obstacles that are oftentimes keeping you the most stuck. And I don't want you to continue to stay stuck. It's not fun. Life is hard. Let's make it a little bit easier by allowing ourselves to love ourselves, allowing ourselves to grow, and allowing ourselves to let go. I think if you start to practice your self-love, you start to push yourself and grow mentally, spiritually, emotionally, and physically, and you allow yourself to let go of just some thoughts. Allow yourself to be radical about letting go and not holding on. I think the Buddha is the very person who says, suffering happens when you hold on. I'm paraphrasing, but that's what he says. He talks about how suffering is caused when you're holding on, and if you want to find happiness and if you want to find peace, you've got to be able to let it go. You don't have to do anything. Just allow yourself to let it go. So I challenge you, my dear friends, is this week, spend some time loving yourself. Love yourself the way that you love others and allow yourself to feel it. I challenge you to try to grow yourself mentally, physically, spiritually, and emotionally. I don't know what that looks like to you, but I know my habits, routines, and rituals that really fulfill my internal empires. And then start to learn how to let go of the emotional weight that you're holding on to, the stories, the beliefs, the inability to forgive, to forget. And I believe if you start allowing yourself to love yourself, to grow yourself, and to let go of the past, you will find a happier heart. You will create a happier home. You will find happiness again. My dear friends, if you found this podcast episode helpful, supportive, encouraging, and/or uplifting, be sure to share it out with 1, 2, or 3 of your friends. And do me a solid and leave a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to the podcast at, because that's what's going to help this podcast reach more hearts, more homes, and create a happier world for all of us to live in, and to support one another and to love on one another. And like always, my dear friends, my name is Tylerjoestratton, and this is, honey, I'm home.